G'day my friends, Marty Ware here from martysgarden.com.au. Now have I got an exciting show for you today guys. It's going to come out like in 3 parts. You see, I've been harvesting cocoons from out in the windrows and getting literally huge numbers. It's really exciting stuff. So I'll show you how I'm doing that. And then we're moving them into these nursery worm farms. And then after that, I'm following on from the last video where I'm potting up the tomato plant, the cutting. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing that. And then the story of that tomato plant is just going to go on and on. So this is a really great show. So keep on watching to find out more, guys. Marty's Garden is all about compost worms, composting, farming worms indoors and out, and growing some of the most awesome food around. You can learn how by clicking the subscribe button and hitting the bell so you don't miss any of my videos.
Welcome world to the Marty's Garden Show.
Okay, you come in closer, Karen, with the camera. Karen's on the camera today again. And what we're doing is we're actually grabbing this compost. It's nearly a finished compost. And processing it because I've literally got thousands upon thousands of cocoons and worms, and as the compost is being sold, literally I figured out that someone could be getting 10,000 cocoons in a bag of compost the other day, and I was like, I really need to start saving these cocoons. So we've got lots of little orange ones here. I don't know if you can see that there on my thumb there, and you know, like there's in one tray here we've counted that there's 500 cocoons. So I sift it like this until, and then I grab these little bits for the food to keep in the buckets, which I'll show you. I'll show you the buckets in a little while, where we're going to create the nurseries for the new cocoons. And so each little bucket is going to have about 1,000 cocoons, possibly even more, but at minimum of 1,000. So we're going to keep these worms alive and start building on our stocks. Now this is very new to me, this type of worm farming going this scale. I'm not too bad at making the compost, but I basically don't want to be losing all my worm stocks. And as you can see, there's quite a lot in here, all different ages. And you know, the little baby one, that's probably maybe a week old or something, that little one there. And it's just literally riddled full of cocoons. So it comes through the sifter here, and as I'm sort of shaking it through, the cocoons fall through, and I end up with a very good quality compost, a fine grade compost which holds a lot of moisture, about 70–80%, and still a lot of food in there as well for these worms. So these guys will come around here, so Karen will shoot around with the camera. Hopefully the light doesn't get too much. Back under into the system again, where we've got the new bedding being formed down here. So that's one bucket. So we do two of those scoops from the shovel full. And if you look at the compost, if you come in close, see all the cocoons? Is that coming up on the camera, Karen?
Yep.
You can see the cocoons, and the orange ones, you know, they'll shoot soon. And the yellower ones are newer ones, but look, you can see they're starting to go a bit orangey. And there are baby wisps in here, there are baby worms already. So 2 of these, there's about 500 just in that one scoop. So 2 of these will be for one of the worm farms. Now Greg is helping me out today, is around here. So follow us around, Karen, with the camera. And come this way, guys. It's a little bit windy, so hopefully the wind's not getting through in the windsock of the thing. And so Greg's out here in the garden making our, what are we calling these? These are nurseries, right? So these are the nurseries. And say hi, Greg.
G'day, how are you?
Greg was in a video a while ago. He's got a really cool garden around there. I'll leave the link up above in the card for that video. So here's one of the farms here. Can you explain what we've got here, Greg?
We've got like 2 buckets, one inside the other. So
just pull that one out then. So that's for catching the liquid down below.
Yeah, and the worms live in, this is their bedding. The castings in there. We'll build a bed so when the castings and the eggs hatch, the cocoons, yeah, they'll come up and
Yeah, so
that's your farm.
any of the moisture goes through down the bottom. We've got airflow. I was going to put some holes around the sides here, but Greg said that because we've got holes in the bottom of this internal one here, there'll be enough vacuum coming through. So then what we're going to do is we're going to wet these down. Now this compost is already very moist, so it's going to stay moist in the garage. We're going to wet that down, then put that on top with a little bit of newspaper probably, and it will be like that. And then we'll have our very first worm nurseries with around about 1,000 cocoons in each one. So if you've been following along on the show, you would know that I'm growing this plant as a cutting from my mother plant. This is a black cherry tomato grown fully organic, and we've got roots coming out of the bottom, which means it's ready to go into another pot. Now I've been madly making up different types of potting mixes and things, which is in one of my courses, Starting Organic Seedlings, a Beginner's Guide. But in here, we've got this amazing mix of worm castings and finished compost that gets screened. And so I've been blending it all together. And we've got a mixture of the finished compost, cocoa peat, biochar, and as you can see in here, the vermiculite to make it nice and light and fluffy. And so this plant needs to come out of here into this guy. And I'm going to grow it much bigger and then slowly harden it off in the sun, which we'll show in future videos, because I want to show you how this plant is growing over time and how you can take care of a cutting like this and get really good results as well. So I'm just going to fill this up first and get this into here. The reason I'm doing it over the top of this, because if it spills into the finished compost, it doesn't really matter too much. If a little bit of vermiculite gets in there, it's all good. So I filled that up about just under halfway there. And we're going to grab this plant. Now what you do with all pots is you always squeeze around the side. Now because it's a cutting, it's not going to have a very big root system where you normally squeeze and you've got to squeeze all the roots away from the outside because it's getting root bound. This is going to have a very nice light root structure, and it's going to be interesting because I haven't pulled this out since I struck the cutting. So let's have a look at it here and see how good this root system is. So that's just shot out of a piece of plant that I've cut off the side of my tomato bush off the lateral there. So if we look there, you can see that the roots are going to go down. Now tomatoes, they'll throw roots off the hairs of the stem, so we can backfill this right up, right around there. And I'm not exposing the roots to any sunlight. The roots, it'll just shock them straight away. It'll freak them right out if they get any sunlight. So we can backfill right around this. I'm going to take this little leaf off here, get rid of that, and fill that right around. And I did water the plant before this got done, so you've always got to water a plant before you do any repotting. And so when I put that into the water, that's going to sink down, so I want to fill that up a little bit further, nearly as high to the top as I can get. Now this is a fully organic medium, and the worm castings in here and the compost are going to protect this plant from any pathogens in the future, because this may go out into the ground or it may go into a bigger pot in the future. It's an indeterminate tomato, so it's going to grow nice and long and tall and get lots of beautiful fruits on it. Now it's also got the biochar in there. If I decide to plant it into the ground, that's going to help with the biology, because on the biochar it has radical surface area, and the biology gets all into that, the microbes and fungi and everything, and it's got somewhere to sort of like it's a house for it. And it also holds calcium, and it will store the nutrients and it works like a little water sump as well. And so that's great stuff. And we've only just got about, in this whole blend here, I only put a handful in. You don't need a lot of it, just a little bit, and it will go a very, very long way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to water this plant in with my worm juice here. I don't have any liquid seaweed. The worm juice actually has a lot of growth hormones in it, and that'll help the plant settle in quite well. We'll do it right through until the water comes out down the bottom there. And as you can see, it's sinking down, or you can stick it under a bucket. Normally I should have a little tray under there to catch that water, but you can see it's starting to come out down through the bottom now. You can feel the weight in the plant too. And so this plant now, because it's been transplanted, it just needs to stay in the shade for a little while and then slowly move it out into the sun. So it's only used to having morning sun through the window at the moment, so I've got to give it a little bit more sun each and every day, which I'll show you how I'm doing that in future videos. So hang on and keep watching the Marty's Garden show. We need to give this tomato a name, so if you've got a name for it, leave it in the comments box down below, and then we can name this tomato, so every time we're looking at it, we can, it can become our friend, you know, like the Italian thing. We call it Marco or something like that. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments box down below. So I have to say, things are getting really exciting here at my place, which I call Marty's Garden. Now, if you haven't been following the show and you want to keep updated, make sure you hit that subscribe button and press the bell so you stay notified each and every time I bring out a new video. There's going to be so many stories unfolding behind here. We've got the organic gardening school, which is opening up. And then we've also got all the worms that are coming in out of here, all the plants that are being grown. And it's just the startup time for Marty's Garden. So it's really exciting. And I really want you to come along the journey with me. So have a great day and happy gardening. I'm going to see you at the next video real soon.